Good evening and welcome to Match of the Day as the season nears its end and the promotion and relegation issues are being settled match by match. But the Cannon League points at stake in our two games tonight are pearls beyond price to all four teams involved. Championship favourites Liverpool have not yet shaken Manchester United off their heels, while their opponents Ipswich are battling desperately to remain in the First Division.
Here's Kennedy. Four up with him, and Kennedy shots!
And Nottingham Forest, rebuilt and flourishing again under Brian Clough, need European football next season to maintain that momentum, while their opponent Stoke City would give a king's ransom for half a dozen points to avoid the drop.
Walsh got a bit of curl on it. And no mean header by Paul Hart.
There's also our April Goal of the Month competition to come. Bob.
Tonight's headlines. Watford skipper Wilf Rostron will miss the FA Cup final after being one of 9 players sent off this afternoon. Don Howe appointed Arsenal manager with a 2-year contract. Sheffield Wednesday promoted to the First Division along with Chelsea, but the celebrations at Stamford Bridge turned sour with 3 policemen injured and 25 fans arrested.
Well, we start the action at Anfield, a somewhat unfamiliar scene as blazing sunshine and bare chests are the background to this dramatic match. But the temperature didn't slow the pace, lessen the skill, nor the excitement. Your commentator is John Watson.
Ian Rush, whose 2 goals in Bucharest took his season's total to 41, now needs only 2 more to break the Liverpool club record for one season. It's presently held by Roger Hunt, who hit 42 League and Cup goals in 1961-62. It was only 3 years ago that John Walk scored 36 in one season for his club, but that club was Ipswich, and today he finds himself in the invidious position of knowing any damage he does could help to send his old team down. Walk is ineligible for Europe, but now takes the place of Graham Souness, who is serving a 1-match suspension. Craig Johnston keeps his place. 2 years ago, Ipswich finished runners-up to Liverpool, but since then 6 internationals have left, and now 3 others, George Burley, Terry Butcher and Kevin O'Callaghan, have been ruled out for the season through injury, as has Irvin Gernon. So Frank Yallop at number 2 starts only his 3rd league game, and Ian Cranston at number 6, his 5th. And the weather this afternoon, more in keeping with the opening of the county cricket season. Indeed, the footballers here are going to feel the heat. And the referee this afternoon is Trelford Mills from Barnsley. Well, the stadium manager here, Bert Johnson, and his ground staff have got the Anfield pitch looking better than I've ever seen it in April. It's in superb condition as Liverpool in the red kick off, hoping to end a good week on a spectacular note as they chase their 3rd consecutive title. But there's Davray for Ipswich, and here's Alan Sunderland. Ipswich in blue, starting the match just above the bottom 3. Sunderland again, Putney, Gates, and that's Sunderland's cross, and Davray is coming in with Grobbelaar. Alan Sunderland in his 3rd month on loan from Arsenal, but when he was at Highbury, he had a very good scoring record against Liverpool, got 6 goals against them in what were notoriously tight matches. Well played by Osman. Sunderland's header, and a foul by Neil on Putney. Gates trying to dummy his old colleague John Walk. There's Dalglish. Osman was in quickly and well. Here's Gates. Putney. Zondervan has got free on the far side for Ipswich. Yallop is coming up in support. Good effort. 20 years old, Frank Yallop. Made his debut on Merseyside recently in a 1-0 defeat at Everton. It's a good try. And the play set up by Romeo Zondervan. Walk. This is McCall. Putney's flick. Oh, Davray made a bold attempt to reach that. Now it's Johnston for Liverpool. And Davray got back for another touch, but it still won't run entirely for him. Nor for Liverpool, for that matter. Gates has made his run behind Sunderland. It was Lawrenson's header, and Gates will pick it up nicely. Looking for Davray on this side, the header back in, and Sunderland came in. That was a good effort by Ipswich. Lawrenson just lost his bearings slightly. Gates got the cross in. Davray able to knock it back in, and Alan Sunderland with the final effort. Not a bad start, though, by Ipswich. They've created two promising openings. This is Lee. Dalglish allowing it to run. He got it back beautifully from Rush, and then fired over. Smashing interchange again between two players who understand each other so well. Dalglish first off, the combination with Ian Rush, the layback, and then the shot. The sun in the eyes of Davray there. McCall. Putney. Gates. The challenge was by Lawrenson. And Gates got the better of Walk there. This is Sunderland, and now Brennan. Another touch by Sunderland. Yallop. And Gates. And Davray. And the referee penalising Mark Lawrenson. Not far outside the penalty area. It's indirect, this free kick. And Gates shoots and scores! Minutes gone, and Ipswich Town take the lead on a ground where they've never won. Mark Brennan just touched the free kick to Eric Gates, and he beat Grobbelaar down to his right. So the team threatened by relegation get off to a good opening here. They played some fairly decent stuff in that opening quarter of an hour, Ipswich, and the reward has come against the Liverpool team still to catch fire after their exertions in Europe. As Joe Fagan perhaps wonders about the original free kick there, it was against Lawrenson. For Eric Gates, his 14th goal of the season. Kennedy. Whelan. Rush for the moment over on the left wing, and Kennedy only tried that against Zondervan. There was an offside flag up anyway. But Liverpool, perhaps by their standards, a shade lethargic after their midweek match, and Ipswich chasing them at every opportunity, harassing the man with the ball. But here's Johnston with the ball for Liverpool. Franson coming across with the header. Dalglish. Ipswich may feel that should have been away before. Russell Osman's making the point to the others. There was a chance to have cleared that, and they didn't take it. Played almost too much football in their own corner of the field there, Ipswich, and they've conceded a corner. And Sammy Lee and Dalglish and Davray, everybody had to come back to help there. Walk is waiting behind the penalty spot to run in. It's been played short again to Lee. It's come back to Phil Neal to drive. And Kennedy might hit one. And what a goal! That was a quite tremendous shot by Alan Kennedy, and so typical of the kind of goal he often scores. Not so much this season, it's only his second in fact, but in the past he's shown he can strike them well from that position. And when that Neal effort rebounded to him, Kennedy, through a crowd of players, found the far corner to make the score 1-1 after 31 minutes. Craig Johnston. This is Hansen. And Osman's header. And Lee and Rush. And to his right, Dalglish. This time the rebound knocked on by Walk to Neal. Dalglish. And Rush was coming in at the far side. Although it was a shot by Dalglish, really. Now a real test of character for these young Ipswich players, several of whom are experiencing this atmosphere for the first time. Putney. So Osman into Gates. Dalglish. Yallop forward. The goal scorer, Kennedy. Full of confidence now. Whelan outside him. Osman away. And Whelan and Dalglish. Kennedy's in the area. Johnston. And Osman forward to Davray. Forward by Kennedy. Look at John Walk there. Ian Rush. It's forced Johnston rather wide. Too wide. But it was first time football by Liverpool. And John Walk was predominant in that, chesting it back there to Rush, who was trying to sweep it out to Johnston. It was Davray, then Lee, now Rush. Kennedy, movement up front from 4 Liverpool players. Zondervan's header depriving Whelan. Putney's clearance only finding Lee. And now Phil Neal. And Craig Johnston operating mainly on the right in this first half. Whelan's come this side as well now. And Neal. Lee. Walks made his run near post, and it ran on, and oh, Ian Rush has equalled Roger Hunt's record. And it was a poached effort, as so many of them are. The move appeared to have broken down, then Walk made a near post run, and as the ball flew across, Rush was on hand to finish. So he has equalled Roger Hunt's total, which has stood for 22 years. As far as Joe Fagan's concerned, the important thing is he's put his team 2-1 up on the day. Gates, Lawrence, and half-time with Ian Rush having put Liverpool into the lead with a goal which he's got reason to remember among the many others he scored. Earlier, Eric Gates had given Ipswich the lead, but with many of their young side inexperienced in terms of playing at Anfield, they cracked when in the 31st minute Alan Kennedy equalised. Quite a few of these Liverpool supporters will be hoping that the weather holds for what, for many of them, will be a trip to Rome at the end of May for the European Cup final against Roma, on the ground where Liverpool first won it in 1977 against the Germans of Mönchengladbach. Ipswich have in fact drawn on 4 of their last 8 visits to Anfield, but never had a victory here. Find themselves 2-1 behind at the start of the second half. And after this, they have 2 home games, Ipswich, and 1 away, which is at Manchester United, so they couldn't have asked for a tougher end to their battle against relegation as far as the away games are concerned. And here's Putney against Phil Neal. He's gone by him, and he's gone by Johnston. Wheel intercepted, and here's McCall. 6 forward for Ipswich. Putney. As they push men on, as they've got to do in chasing the game, they're going to get caught possibly by a break like this from Rush. What a ball to John Walk. And he sets up Johnston. Terrific run and pass by Ian Rush. Whelan. And here's Johnston. And Cooper at full stretch. From Craig Johnston. It's a corner to Liverpool, which Neal has played short to Dalglish. And here's Neal again. Johnston. Whelan's made a run across the area. Yallop's clearance. Cranston. And won well by Lee. Rush. And here's Walk. And he hit this one first time, having delayed before. But again, Ian Rush very much in the thick of things. Steve McCall to Sunderland. Now Yallop. Sunderland had time to turn and look up. Nice ball into Davray. Here's Gates. Oh, that's a tremendous goal. Well, we're having a treat today. Eric Gates gets his second of the match. No wonder he looks so pleased. The IpswichTown captain Lovely ball actually by Sunderland with the outside of the foot, knocked down by Davray, but talk about an instant volley. That's 2-2 after 57 minutes. And 2 for Eric Gates. And Ipswich showing strength of character here to come back after going behind. But this is Kennedy, and it's come back off Cooper from the poor to clear. Oh, the goalkeeper down hurt by the sheer impact of the ball. Ah. So a corner to Liverpool. And Walk is up there, so were 2 defenders. Cooper has recovered after treatment. And here's Putney. They're making Liverpool work every inch of the way, are Ipswich. Kennedy. 4 up with him, and Kennedy shots! Well, how many more is he going to fire today? Oh, people often used to say that the best long-range shooting came from the South Americans, but Alan Kennedy can hit them from 25 yards or more, as well as most. And Liverpool are going to make a substitution. The injured player is Mark Lawrenson. He's going to be replaced by Steve Nicol. Eric Gates, the skipper, has led the Ipswich team well today. Scored 2 goals and always been a threat up there. Here comes Zondervan and Davray. And it's Nicol for Liverpool. Well, they can't afford another injury. That's Alan Kennedy who's now hobbling. Cranston. Oh, Dalglish. That's a good effort. And some people at the other end of the ground thought it had actually dipped underneath the crossbar. It was mighty close, and nobody knows that better than Paul Cooper. That really was a fine volley by Kenny Dalglish, a dipper, and it could so easily have won the match. Zondervan sliding it back into Gates. And here's Kennedy. And Dalglish. Block was by Osman. This is Whelan for Liverpool. The flick on was by Dalglish, but was Whelan fouled as he followed through? He went for a possible return and got blocked off. And Liverpool have a free kick on the edge of the Ipswich penalty area in stoppage time. So much can hinge on what happens here at both ends of the First Division. Will Johnny Walk strike one against his old club? Dalglish has moved the ball and chipped, and just wide. Well, a few Ipswich hearts would have fluttered there. They've got their band of supporters over in that far corner, and they're looking at their watches. They know we've played 1 minute of stoppage time. And here's Johnston. Nicol. And still. Johnston once more. And now Neil. and walk. Lee. Referee again checks his watch. Kennedy. And that's it. A fine point for Ipswich with 2 goals by Eric Gates, the second a brilliant effort. Alan Kennedy's goal for Liverpool in the first half. And Ian Rush's second to put his side 2-1 up were not enough to clinch the match. Few people would have predicted this result, and who knows, that point could go a long way towards keeping Ipswich Town in the First Division. Liverpool 2, Ipswich 2.
Well, it would be very sad indeed if Ipswich did go down in their first poor season for a number of years, but they certainly didn't look short of ability or confidence in today's game. The second Gates goal was superb, but it was the first that perhaps gave them the confidence to take Liverpool all the way. And would you believe it, our camera behind the goal reveals a small crack in even their disciplined defensive system. You'll notice that as the ball is touched to the side, the left-hand end player in the Liverpool wall, that's Kenny Dalglish, would you believe, moves with it, creating the hole in the wall, and Gates' instep does the rest. Misunderstanding in even the best regulated football families should comfort ordinary mortals. Ipswich profited deservingly, gained a point and put further pressure on their relegation rivals like Stoke City, whose task away to Nottingham Forest was formidable. But until Easter, they'd recovered their form under the inspiration of a new old player, as commentator Barry Davis points out.
Amid the fight for Europe and the fear of relegation comes the chance to see a talent which wasn't allowed to flower in its prime, but now seems to be somewhere close to full bloom. Since Alan Hudson started a second spell at Stoke City, the team has won 8 and drawn 1 of 14 games. But sadly for Bill Asprey, who had the courage to buy him, they dropped 5 points out of 6 over Easter, and that's put them back into the bottom 3. But he sticks with an unchanged side from last Monday, with Hudson having recovered from a bout of flu. Nottingham Forest are also unchanged from their last match, and for them it's a question of putting behind them the dreadful penalty decision and the late disallowed goal against Anderlecht. And the manager being who he is, one would feel that that point has already been made. The referee on a bright sunny afternoon is Ray Lewis of Great Bookham in Surrey. Well, since they came back to the First Division, Stoke City have not managed a goal on this ground and have only taken 1 point. They're in desperate need of what would be only their second away win in the league this season. It's Viv Anderson, the England squad for next week. Bowyer. Peter Fox, the only one to play in every match for Stoke this season. Met by Paul Hart. McElroy. Gary Mills. Walsh. James's challenge was sufficient, and here is Alan Hudson. Dyson. Stoke not exactly going forward too quickly. Now there is a lot of space. 2 forward, Painter and Russell. McElroy, oh dear, oh dear. To say this is a tentative start by Stoke is a considerable understatement. Paul Dyson came from Coventry City in the summer. Mills, Davenport, Hodge in the middle. Walsh came off bold, pushed away, and Davenport really the position was very difficult for him as Fox palmed it away. And what Devonport wasn't to know was that Bowyer was about 3 or 4 yards further back and would have had a much easier shot. Well, that's the danger in April. Sometimes it's not quite as warm as you think. Hodge gets it away, and here's Anderson. Well, with due respect to Viv Anderson, the finish then could not have surprised anybody. It's been entirely in keeping with the quality of play so far. The opportunity coming as a result of so many mistakes. Callaghan with chances to clear the ball, probably failed to do so. Hart, Callaghan, McElroy, Painter, and the free kick given. Challenged by Fairclough. This time the free kick is direct. 5 players in the Forest wall. Robbie James and Sammy McElroy, the 2 in a position to have a crack. It's James who does so. And Fairclough who saved his goalkeeper, who lost the ball in the dust. Problem 2 for Paul Hart. That's what you call being laid back. Chamberlain. It's the first time he's run at anybody, and he hit it cleanly enough too. And for the second time, the Dutch goalkeeper couldn't hold the ball. James was a little strong and he had to push his man, I think. That's what the referee's given. Hudson. Hampton. It's a very unkind bounce. Painter. And the end of 45 minutes. A difficult wind, a bumpy pitch and a lively ball all played their part, but really a hugely disappointing first half. Most of the players, with notable exceptions like Hodge and Wigley, will be entirely happy that it's over. The conditions much more in favour of the sailing dinghies, but it's to be hoped that the players will be able to control the wind and the unpredictable bounce of the ball in the second half at the City Ground. Real hive of sporting activity Nottingham this afternoon, because just across the way there's a county cricket match being played, opening the season at Trent Bridge. So Stoke now attacking the goal to our right. Their record away from home, they've failed to score in 11 of 19 games. They've won just once, and that was at Coventry, and they've gained 6 draws. I suppose they might feel that a draw here would be a very useful point. Nottingham Forest have had victories in their last 7, including domestic and European competitions. Hodge. Wiggly. Bold. Certain indecision then. Bowyer. The problems of the elements really demand that the passing should be of a far greater quality than it was in the first period. Free kick given. 4 foot up. There's a 5-man threat coming from Peter Fox's left, right as we look. Walsh got a bit of curl on it. And no mean header by Paul Hart. He got up, his marker did not get up. And it was a nicely curled cross from Colin Walsh. Steve Bold scored the first goal of his career just across the way at Meadow Lane. Davenport. James. Stoke looking more dangerous on the breakaways. Russell. Chamberlain outside. Difficult bounce and a rather curious challenge. Hampton. Hudson. James. Chamberlain's out to the right and still. Faced by Fairclough. Walsh was the extra man. Hudson. The ball had gone through. Hudson might have collected it. Hodge. Swain. Bowyer. And Gary Mills, the player to be replaced. And on comes Gary Birtles. Hudson. Chamberlain. Corner. Chamberlain seems to have hurt his left ankle. Again, O'Callaghan on the near post. Going to require to place it rather better this time, which he does. James, who does not. Stoke City are to make a substitution, obviously because of the injury to Mark Chamberlain. And the player has just come on, Paul Maguire. Fairclough. Anderson. Hudson. Seemed to me to be inevitable. Possession conceded once more. Walsh. Bounce a bit rough on Davenport. Bowyer. That's the cleanest strike he's made this afternoon. Hodge, who offered the opportunity, which had to be instantly taken. James. That's a good break. And a good pass to Painter. This is, oh, his first touch destroyed him. But he's still got a player on the far side, but Anderson is in the way. Robbie James's break of some pace, deserved a better finish than that. Painter's first touch was awful. Well, but Asprey will be happy with the point. 0-0 the final score. And sometimes that score tells an untrue story of a cracking match. But this was not one of those games. 0-0, a true story of the contest, with the best chance, I think, falling to Stoke, a little Ian Painter, but he failed to control the ball. But on this particular afternoon, he was by no means alone in that.
Well, not a match to excite nor satisfy anyone. Both teams needed more than 1 point, although Stoke would be satisfied with their crumb from the rich man's table. The public wanted more goalmouth excitement. Didn't get it over 90 minutes, but that's where edited football almost comes to the rescue. Bob.
As a result of that draw, Forest drop a place to 5th, and Manchester United again lost a chance to take advantage of Liverpool's lapse by only drawing themselves at home to West Ham. Queen's Park Rangers virtually assured themselves of a place in Europe next season by beating Spurs 2-1, and Southampton literally shot into 4th place thanks to an amazing 8-2 win over Coventry. At the bottom, where Wolves are already down, you've seen Stoke and Ipswich keep alive their hopes of avoiding relegation with a valuable point each. They were helped by defeats today for 3 other clubs in trouble: Notts County, Birmingham and Coventry. But the big news tonight concerns Watford captain Wilf Rostron, who will miss the cup final against Everton on May the 19th after being sent off in the 2-1 win at Luton. Rostron will get an automatic 2-match suspension starting 2 weeks from now, and that means he'll become the 3rd successive cup final skipper to miss out at Wembley through suspension, following Brighton's Steve Foster last season and QPR's Glenn Roeder in 1982. Watford manager Graham Taylor left Kenilworth Road through a back door saying, "I'm sorry, but I'm too upset to talk to anyone." Rostron was sent off along with Luton defender Paul Elliott when they clashed just before half-time. Elliott had been booked earlier, but Luton manager David Pleat said, "I don't think they deserved to be sent off. I was a bit disappointed with the referee's performance." Rostron and Elliott were 2 of the 9 players sent off today, the worst total this season. 7 came from the First Division, including Arsenal's Charlie Nicholas, who was dismissed with Leicester's Andy Peake for fighting near the end of the game at Highbury. That was the only disappointment on an otherwise perfect day for Don Howe. Arsenal won 2-1 to move into 6th place, and afterwards Howe revealed to his players a secret he'd kept for 90 minutes, his appointment as manager on a 2-year contract. Don said, "It's marvellous news. I worked for 7 years here as Bertie Mee's assistant and had another long spell under Terry Neal, but always felt that one day it would be my turn." Arsenal striker Paul Mariner is doubtful for England's match against Wales on Wednesday after having 6 stitches in a cut on his cheek after today's game against Leicester. Congratulations to Sheffield Wednesday and Chelsea, who both clinched promotion from Division 2 with home wins. Newcastle slipped up though, beaten 1-0 by Cambridge, the relegated club's first win in 32 games. Mel Sterland's penalty saw Wednesday home against Crystal Palace, while Kerry Dixon scored a hat-trick in Chelsea's 5-0 win over Leeds. Sadly, some fans among the near 34,000 crowd caused trouble. 3 policemen were injured and there were 25 arrests. In Division 3, promotion still rests between the top 4 with a vital match next Saturday when Wimbledon visit Sheffield United. In Division 4, York are champions and the next 3 clubs look like going up with them. Pools dividends are low with 14 score draws. Don't ring them, they'll contact you. The numbers are 3, 6, 14, 20, 23, 32, 36, 37, 43, 46, 48, 50, 51 and 54. More action now as Aberdeen take another step towards the Scottish Premier Championship by winning at Dundee 1-0. Your commentator is Archie McPherson.
Oh, that's a mistake. Black might get a touch and does. He puts it away.
Now it's time for the April Goal of the Month competition, in which there are 7 goals from which to choose. I'll remind you how to enter in a moment, but first a look at the goals, starting with goal A, scored by Derek Parlane for Manchester City against Swansea City.
Oh, good firm header by McCarthy, and Kinsey has got in behind Evans here, and 2 in the middle for him. Parlane, What a fine goal.
Goal B scored by George Riley for Watford against Plymouth Argyle.
Here's Barnes. Riley's coming towards the near post. Oh, he got a fleck and it's there! George Riley came in and Watford are in front.
Goal C scored by Ray Wilkins for Manchester United against Coventry.
Hughes. McGrath threatening in the box. Graham, plenty of United players forward. And Ray Wilkins scores. Only his second outfield goal of the season.
Goal D scored by Ian Rush for Liverpool against Dinamo Bucharest.
That was Lee's corner and headed out as far as Souness. That looks a good ball. He's onside and it's Ian Rush here. And it's there. Liverpool in front. And Ian Rush again, his 40th of the season.
Goal E scored by Zbigniew Boniek for Juventus against Manchester United.
This is a very different Juventus from the one we saw in the European Cup final. Last year against Hamburg, and here's Boniek, he's got away, and it's in. And the crowd are on their feet. Boniek did it one way as Bailey came the other.
Goal F scored by Alan Kennedy for Liverpool against Ipswich.
It's come back to Phil Neal to drive. And Kennedy might hit one. What a goal!
Goal G scored by Eric Gates for Ipswich in the same match.
Sutherland had time to turn and look up. Nice ball into Davray. Here's Gates. Oh, that's a tremendous goal!
Here's a check on those goals. Goal A, Parlane. B, Riley. C, Wilkins. D, Rush. E, Boniek. F, Kennedy. And G, Gates. And here's how to enter. You put your name and address on the left-hand side of a postcard, please, and your goal selections in 1, 2, 3 order on the right-hand side. And you address the postcard to Goal of the Month, BBC Television, London, W12 8QT. And don't forget Wales v England in Sports Night next Wednesday and Match of the Day live, Manchester City v Chelsea on Friday next. Well, stealing the thunder is the expression, and IpswichTown and Eric Gates illustrated its meaning precisely on a day when, in view of Manchester United's draw at home against West Ham, Liverpool might have been excused just sending for the key to their trophy cabinet. But Gates stole the glory with 2 goals that proclaim loudly that Ipswich may be down, but not out. Good night.
And Gates shoots and scores! Nice ball into Davray. Here's Gates. Oh, that's a tremendous goal!